the end of a tough week for the Central Coast. Looks as though they're going to see this game out. It's not been vintage Mariners by any stretch of the imagination, but that's perhaps to be accepted given their schedule. Mike Mulvey, his face is one of disappointment and frustration, and you can understand that too. Really, you'd feel if you were Brisbane today, Harps, that the Mariners were there for the taking.
Well, I'm not quite sure about that, but Brisbane just haven't brought the game they needed to. You know, they're so consistent, the Mariners. You really know most of the time what you're going to get. And if Brisbane, on last week's form, might have done something here today, but they didn't bring that game with them.
Well, we're into the 5th minute now of stoppage time, and Nick Montgomery's infringement. Graham Arnold is pointing to his watch very anxiously and reminding Tim McGilchrist that we are into the 5th minute. Brisbane have one final chance. Steph Nolan to pump it into the box towards Broit, and it's stabbed over the top of the crossbar by Jade North. The full-time whistle goes, and the Mariners have won it. They keep the premiership race alive for another week at least. Bernie Abini's first half goal was enough. The smiles are back at Blue Tongue, but not on the faces of the Brisbane players, who now know they're in a straight shootout for the finals. They must surely win the last two if they are to retain their crown. Full-time scoreline, Central Coast Mariners 1, Brisbane Roar 0. On balance, Andy Harper, is that a fair result or not?
Yeah, no, totally fair. Outthought and outplayed the Brisbane Roar did the Central Coast Mariners. They completely blocked the flanks, stopped the supply line, frustrated Brisbane, who had plenty of the ball but didn't know what to do with it.
Let's have a quick check on the Alex Tobin points. 3 marks awarded to Bernie Abini for his goal and his display defensively today. 2 for Michael Theo, who's in excellent form in the first half. In particular, made a couple of great saves, and Zach Anderson with the 1. Here's the goal that won it. It came courtesy of Bernie Abini, his 7th of the season, Andy.
Yeah, did well, had a great game. He missed a sitter before this. You still can't believe he missed that one from about a yard, but the Mariners defended these situations well most of the game. Brisbane didn't when it counted. And Michael Theo pulled off a couple of great saves as well. A fair result. Central Coast Mariners deserved the 3 points.
And they move back to within touching distance of the Western Sydney Wanderers. Of course, they can seal the Premier's plate if they can defeat Sydney FC in the derby next weekend. Brisbane Roar have 2 home games to round out their campaign against Melbourne Heart and Sydney FC. But really, a game today in which the Mariners did to Brisbane perhaps what Sydney did to the Mariners last week. They defended stoutly, resiliently, and on the back of that heavy week of travel, they've managed to grind out a very, very important 3 points. Let's have a quick check on the Hyundai A-League ladder with 1 game to go in round 25. The Wanderers still top, but their gap at the summit now has been cut to 5 points by the Mariners of Brisbane Roar, as you can see, remaining outside the top 6 for now. They remain 2 points adrift of both the Jets and Sydney FC, but Perth Glory have the chance to make their move. They're up next against the Wellington Phoenix at NIB Stadium. And the top two places, we should say as well, are now done and dusted. Western Sydney Wanderers and the Central Coast Mariners. An interesting afternoon at Blue Tongue. Hope you enjoyed it. Well done to the Central Coast. They record their 10th home win of the season, and they're alive in the race for the plate for another week at least. Good night from Andy Harper and from me, Simon Hill, and from Mel McLaughlin. Stick around, though, for Perth against the Knicks.